So what goals? I mean, say you're elected auditor. What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish?
Well, first and foremost, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the excellent foundation that's been laid by Jim Petro and Betty Montgomery and Mary Taylor. We've got probably the best auditor of state office in the country. It's a thoroughly professional career staff there. And so, like a doctor, the next auditor of state's first goal needs to be to do no harm. But beyond that, there are a number of things that I would like to see. I talked about one of them here today, the creation of a state budget commission. I'd also like to look at I've got a number of proposals that are being vetted right now that we'll talk about in the future that increase transparency and the availability of financial information to the people that pay the bills. I also want to assist the legislature and the decision makers in the next administration in making some of the hard decisions that will need to be made about state spending. The fact of the matter is, we still spill an awful lot of money in state government, and it's time for us to really seriously ask, what should government be doing, and why does it cost so much?
Why would you be a better choice than your opponent?
Well, if the auditor of state's position is in a leadership job, we've got about 850 people in the auditor of state's office. They're housed all over the state, as is appropriate. It is a huge issue to lead that organization. I have the experience in leading executive offices. It's very, very different than filling out tax returns like a CPA might, or running a legislative office or drafting and negotiating bills. I am the only person in the race, Republican or Democrat, who's served as a county auditor, who's familiar with these issues. I'm the only one that has executive experience.
Your opponent keeps bringing up the CPA thing. That's something Mary Taylor, brought up also.
Sure.
He says that his experience up to now is very similar to what Mary Taylor's experience was. How do you respond to that? In response to why he would be a better candidate.
Well, I'll let him make his own case. But look, a CPA is a valuable thing. So is a law degree. One of the things that an auditor of state has to determine is whether an expenditure is made according to law for a proper public purpose. This isn't just about debits and credits, it's about cheats and crooks. And my experience, I think, puts me in a better position to serve in this role. We've only had one CPA in the history of Ohio serve as auditor of state. And while she's done a fabulous job, it's hardly a prerequisite to doing an effective job as auditor of state.
Somewhat loaded question, and I don't mean to infer anything here, but Mark Dan came into office. When he left, he essentially said, he just was not prepared to lead an office of that size, to manage it. You mentioned, 800 some employees in the auditor's office. Have you managed something of that size before, or why is what you've done sufficient to go into a position like that?
Well, I was involved in very large organizations in staff capacity, both at Columbus and in the state of Ohio. More directly, in the county government, I was the chief fiscal officer for a 1,000-person organization. I was the paymaster, and the chief information officer, and the chief geographical information officer for a very large organization. In addition, I've had direct executive responsibility for both the auditor's office and the prosecutor's office. My opponent, with all respect to his education, has never run anything larger than his legislative office. And you raised the issue of Mark Dan, not I. But as much as we might look at Mary Taylor, we also have the example of Mark Dan from somebody that has not served in an executive position. Once again, I would suggest that this is no time for experimentation. It's time to select somebody for auditor state that has a record and has actual accomplishments.
Are you worried about the tone of the campaign and alienating some of the Tea Party people out there, or how do you, if or when, however you want to phrase it, you win this race in the primary, how do you bring all those people back under the Republican umbrella for the general election?
Well, look, I was there at the birth of the Tea Party. I spoke in March last year to the first small group of 125, 150 people down here on the north steps of the State House, and I spoke to the large tax day Tea Party. I've gone across Ohio and spoken to 912 groups and Tea Party groups, and I don't have a sense that those people and I are far apart at all in terms of what all of us believe: limited government, enumerated powers, the smallest possible government, lower taxes. Those are things that we all believe in, and at the end of the day, I welcome them into the Republican Party. I think they have a valuable contribution to make to public discourse, and I think they're going to, I think they believe the same thing that I believe.
How big a role do you think they're going to have in the primary?
I guess we'll count up the numbers and see. I love the fact, though, that folks in the Tea Party, folks in the 912 groups, are taking their own time to be part of the process. They could be out doing anything else. They could be on the soccer field or shopping or watching TV, and instead, we've got folks studying the Constitution and reading legislation and be involved in the political process. This is what makes America great.
Are you surprised at all at how competitive the endorsements have gone in this race? At how many your opponent has gained? I mean, you're the chosen, the endorsed by the Republican Party candidate. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised at the endorsements he's getting?
I'm very pleased with the endorsements that we've received. A friend of mine, I'm pleased with the endorsements we've received, and I congratulate him on the ones that he's received. The endorsement that will count is when the Republican Party votes to nominate one of us on May 4th, and I'm confident that when they look at our credentials and experience, they're going to vote for Dave Yost.
Okay. Anything else?
Boy, you've covered the waterfront, Mark.
Yes.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about these things.